Chers tous, chères toutes. Alors là, je sais que ça en excite certains. Je sais qu'il y en a parmi vous là qui se sont mis en branle-bas de combat devant leurs ordinateurs avec des papiers et des stylos, un petit peu comme j'ai fait moi pour préparer cette interview, parce que on entend beaucoup parler de cette personne aujourd'hui, et de plus en plus, et je trouve que c'est formidable parce que c'est réellement, je crois, euh, un génie de notre époque, en termes de créativité, en termes d'idées, de toutes ces choses-là. That's why it's a pleasure to welcome today Tobias Dostal.
Bonjour.
How are you, Tobias?
Very good. Just arrived in my studio, and yeah, man, happy to see you, man. How are you?
I'm really fine. This is a I'm so glad to have you there. You know, you are only the second interview in English that I'm doing on this channel. So this is pretty new for me too. So we are discovering all this stuff together. And maybe even if I don't think so, but maybe the name of Tobias Dostal doesn't ring a bell in some mind. And
Yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
it's possible. Maybe you should introduce yourself first in the way you want, and we can go in the deep next.
Yeah, I mean, for people who don't know me, I feel like I'm always this guy at conventions trying to have different material with me. Like, I don't know, I love magic so much, but I also hate magic in so many cases. So I love to always explore like a different side of magic that is a bit more in my everyday life, and I don't know how to explain myself more. I'm doing art and magic, so I have a gallery in Berlin that shows my artworks, and
Mm.
I have a studio right here where I'm creating all day, and this is like my favorite thing to do in this world.
You just said that there are so many aspects in magic that you don't like. Can you tell us more about that?
We will start with the negative stuff. No, I just feel like magic for me is really everything, so you can really perform quite a lot of things, which takes everything in there. Like magic is so great because you can combine all the different art forms together and create something really unique. I didn't say I mean, I don't hate magic in some cases. I'm pretty bored of some things, you know, like I love to be surprised. And most of the magic I see today is a bit, I don't know, I already know the ending or something. Sometimes it's nice to figure out a way to make it more different. Like, I mean, this is like already we start with the deepest question of all, right?
No, there's more. There's
Oh
more.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the nice stuff about magic. You know, like I feel like this is so great to connect with people, and this is why I do it. So I love to do it because it's really giving people this kind of attraction where they get suddenly so enthusiastic about this world again. You know, like you take them out of their everyday life, and then they see it and they go like, "What?" And then again, they feel the wonder of this universe again, where something is it's not quite explainable. Everything is starting to be a wonder, and you just you open up people with this. So this is like I think the best thing magic can do.
Mm. And I discovered that when I study your work for this interview, because I've spent the last few days with you online, even if you didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
I've done
Stalk
it.
me.
Yeah, I'm stalking you. Yeah. And I discovered that you do some artwork, and even you have educational background in art, and it brings you to New York and all of that stuff that were like kind of big in your life. I just want to know, today you are a magician, you are a plastician, I think, with your sexy plexi, some stuff like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
there.
I've worked with different materials, but it's funny because I studied fine arts in Braunschweig. It's a city here, and I just because I was doing magic all my life, I was just since a child. I'm so obsessed with this. It's like I also like you do your gigs since I was 13. I was like from kids shows. You know how it starts. But at the end, when I start to study fine arts, I only wanted to do magic in my
Mhm.
art. And then some professors told me like, Tobias, there's art can do so much more than a magic trick, right? And first I didn't understand what that means. So I tried to analyze what is really magical in art. And then, of course, you fall over the whole history of film, where the the beginning of the real projectors, where they run these little film strips. I can also show
Georges
you one here.
Méliès, sort of that stuff.
Georges Méliès and the brothers Lumière. I mean, this is like the French avant-garde here, what I'm talking about. But it's just interesting that all these illusions that were created at this time are still so for this life we're living in is so closed. What this invention was from some magicians suddenly is in our everyday life. It really created a different society, which is interesting. But I'm more interested about the aspect that we can show the world in different aspects with art and magic, so we can create a new reality and think new ways to talk about. Sometimes it's really like a scientist trying to figure out a new thing about this world. It's just a really great way to express yourself, the form of magic. So
there's something that come into my mind, and I don't know if I have the lexical field to do it in English, but I'm going to try. I've read Bergson, the philosopher Bergson. In his books called Structural Anthropology. I think this is the good title in English, Anthropology. And he talked about the connection between science and illusion. And he said that today the science is going to progress more and more. And as the science is progressing, the magic is going back. And the more the people know in science, and the less the magic can exist. What do you think about that?
I would say this was always like this. This is how religion got less and less, respected. But I feel like in terms of magic, it's more about exposure. It's more about again, we are living in this film world, and we have YouTube, and we have so many different quick ways to Google magician bending a spoon, right? And then pops up immediately Murphy's Magic, and you can buy that trick, or you even find the revealed video on YouTube, which is not good for our business, let's say, but I think it's not a bad thing at the end, because when I started magic, I just needed input, how I get better, how I can create things. So I looked up books. There was no YouTube at this point. There wasn't even the internet. Oh my God, I'm old. But the point is just that they're not all secrets are not written somewhere. There's still so much we as magicians can show the world, that of course there is the sense of maybe I know how it works, but for my magic it doesn't even matter. Like I don't want to fool people in the way of I do something and I'm a bit more clever than you and I know how it's done, so you don't. This is not my point. When I do magic, I actually try to give you the chance to experience something, and you have to be up to see, to see up the illusion, right? And then, of course, maybe they think, oh, maybe he was a bit tricky, but it was a beautiful picture. I really like the message, right? And this is what for me, it's all about when we combine also the art and the magic, because art is also something in a gallery where you can look the artwork, you see how it's done, right? Yeah. But you're still amazed how beautiful this thought is to put this here, on the wall, on the painting, or as a sculpture. And I feel like magic is the same thing. If I come to you and I show you, you want to feel a great experience about magic, and you're like, yeah, okay, right. And then we can talk about this intellectual idea I will show you. It doesn't matter how I did it. Of course, it's best if I fool you, but at the end, it has to be beautiful,
I think the best illustration for that in your work is your pantomime thing.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of great, because everybody knows how it works. Actually, there is no, you know,
Yeah,
there is no mask or some stuff like that. This is just a pantomime, or this is a theater thing.
yes,
And even though we are still amazed by it, because this is so visual, this speaks to us directly, and we know what's going on, but there is some strange zone there. We don't know how to take it, which, you know, the brain
yeah,
is processing something which is more philosophical than just, okay, I know how it's done.
yeah. But you also need a little intellectual uh, reception, right? If I just go on the streets and I do this to people, they're like, "Man, you're
Yeah,
crazy, right? You're like."
of course, yeah.
If you put it in the right context and you just show this at the right moment, I mean, you know this, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's great.
it works, but it's a strange thing. It's really like also to train that is really strange.
Yeah,
But on the other side, exactly this is the point where you step over the tricky part, right? And you go just straight into the picture. What is it about, or the story, or you know what you want to tell. But the art is always great if, or the magic is always great if I don't tell you everything. You know,
yeah,
if I leave you space to imagine the things, and I'm not telling you everything I want to tell you, you know, like with my fingers up, you know, it's great if sometimes it's strange, you know, and you're just like, and in
yeah.
your mind you're thinking of what is going on, I don't know, you know, and there's suddenly something really creative happening in your brain if I just show you weird stuff, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
and this is the most difficult, and sometimes I don't know, to create just as less as possible that the imagination of the spectator can just go crazy,
yeah.
right?
Mm.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, right. Because this is an art piece, and this is not necessarily a fooling piece. Uh, to fool is a consequence, I think, in your work. The first step is art.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
great.
don't know if I love just, I mean, art is really everything, and magic is definitely an art form, but sometimes you have to get the audience always in the right position to watch this now. They have to get a little bit of information to understand what I'm going to do or why it's going so strange suddenly. And I mean, here, this is my, you know, this example, right? With
Yeah,
the, right, this is like, this is one of my favorite things, because if you see a surreal picture here, you just see my hand, you know, and then you just, you know, you don't know where the mirror is ending, right?
yeah, that's
It
right.
really feels really interesting if you just go it slowly, and then also how the, you know, reality is not really close anymore to just the fictional aspect, but it's just great how it blends, how reality as we see it is turning into this dreamy thing.
Mm,
Because I don't know, if on my gigs I always ask the audience, "Hey, do you know what's reality?" And they go like, you know, some kids go maybe the opposite of dreaming. It's like, oh, good question, but
that's great, actually.
it's great. Yeah, it was for a kid was a great answer, but nobody knows what's reality, so we can form it as we want it, maybe.
Hmm. This is a great aspect that we didn't often talk about you, because you are a professional magician, obviously, but you do some gigs, right? You
Yeah,
do
that's right.
some corporate gigs, maybe, or in theater, or more like a show. I don't know, what are you doing in gigs? What do you do there?
Yeah, I have different styles. I love to perform close up.
Yeah,
I really feel like this is my favorite to really connect with people. But in the moment, I'm working on a 1 hour show. So I from parlor, a little stage. I'm not going on big stages. I love it in intimate parlor situation where there's a stage involved. So up to 50, 100 people is fine, but everything bigger it needs a different show, because my stuff is really, these moments I create are sometimes too small to really be received by a stage perspective. But if you if you see my stuff now, I'm doing shadows. You know, I do a lot of stuff with light on
yeah.
stage
That,
because it's really catchy.
this was my next question.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, I'm working on a decent show. It is really about art, and it's exactly what we talked about, how to show just as less as possible, give the
Mm,
audience just the black face to connecting the dots themselves,
mm.
but still gives you a lot of visuals and strange, surreal pictures. Yeah.
You know, in your artwork, I mean, in your magic creations, they are all like a moment thing. This is a
Mm.
momentum. You know, this is silhouettes. Like, oh, and what the fuck? This is
Yeah.
I do not remember the name of this one. You know, where the spectator is holding his phone and you
Oh yeah, optics. Yeah, yeah.
optics, yeah, optics. This is like a moment. Liquify is there too. Is this challenging for you to create a big 1 hour piece
Mm.
with all of those little stuff, or do you have some stuff that you've created uh, particularly for that?
Mm.
Is it challenging for you to create a bigger piece or no?
Yeah, it's totally for me difficult. Not difficult, it's just a challenge. Exactly. I I don't want to stretch my effects and just talk too much. I want that because it's really about being entertained by art. It's not, of course, you can have the time to talk about this long story of your whatever. Sometimes you go, yeah, okay, and then suddenly finally something happens. There are so many magic shows like this. You have to create an emotional story before you can show this little bit of magic, for
Yeah.
example. That makes sense for sure, but it's I don't know, my style is always like, what, like machine gun magic. This is maybe also why I loved about this American style of magic somehow, because everything is just all the time highly visual.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm getting there also, where I don't have to speak, I just have some music or strange sounds, and I can do slowly things. Like, it becomes really like a performative art thing that becomes surreal.
Yeah.
I don't know, this is where I want to go. But yeah, I love moments because the people's attention is also really short today. I feel like if I go on a gig and people they talk and I'm coming there and it's like, oh yeah, show me something. And then what's the reaction? They take out their phones, like, can I film this? It's like something quick that I can film. And it's like, it's a bit rude, but this is what they ask you for. And then it's better I have something ready to just make,
Actually, your stuff is perfect for that question.
yeah, exactly. At least they tag me and they make commercial for me, which is great. But I feel like I want to catch people out of a moment, and I hate it when people tell me, "Hey, this is Tobias. He's one of the best magicians in the world. Can you show him something?" I'm like, ugh, I cannot. It's better if they have no idea I'm a magician, and suddenly I take something like, "Is this normal? What?" Yeah. And then
Yeah.
they're like, "What's this world? What is going on?" And suddenly I drive them into a strange reality, which is so much better if their expectations are not so high.
This is a mentality that I found in the Spanish school of
Mm-hmm.
magic, and as we saw on Chris Ramsey videos and all of that stuff, you hang
Mm-hmm.
out a lot with Juan Colas, Giancarlo Scalia,
Yeah,
Mario Lopez, all of those guys who are completely great.
yeah,
Um, how does them how do them influence you in your work? Their mentality, their way of seeing those things, this is
yeah.
particular.
They are just so fine workers. They are really, you come to a point where you have a trick ready since years, but you still work on these little subtleties, even the right words and how you hold your hands and how it looks more natural. And these guys, they're like so great to talk with because they see immediately what feels not, as perfect as it should. And sometimes you're bothered with a technical problem and then they solve it like, no, what if I do this, I always do that, and then they show you how they're handling, for example, a coin, and you can take that coin handling into your gimmick or idea or something.
Mm,
I mean, just hanging out and having a relaxed conversation of what works best for my magic, what is, and just different eyes see different things. This is just a very special group because they're more friends than we don't need to perform our magic. I don't have to perform what Juan Colas is performing, and I don't have to perform what, we don't need our magic each other, right?
Yeah.
We're just helping each other to create our own stuff better. So I think that's really interesting because sometimes you always perform them the trick from your friend, and you say, oh, it worked really well.
Yeah.
We're doing completely own stuff material, and this is so great that we are just trying to help each other, getting it better and better.
And actually, this is something really interesting because those are all different identities which are expressing themselves in their own way.
Mm.
But there are some creation because I think now about Heartbeats by Juan.
Yeah,
This is this kind of idea that
beautiful. Yeah.
this is completely beautiful. I completely agree. This is actually a masterpiece for me.
Mhm.
This is exactly the kind of idea that you could worked on, that you could have, this kind of stuff like a momentum, like, oh, this is something between you and me, and
Yeah,
but Juan is l'incarne, is
Comment tu fais tourner le truc?
yeah, I don't know, is living it, his personalities, just
exactly. He
you
looks like the guru himself, right?
yeah,
So
you see
this
where
is
I'm
why it
going. I
works so
don't
well.
have the words. But you see where I'm going.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this, for example, did you help Juan with the heartbeats stuff or not at all?
No, he showed this in Spain like 3 years ago or something. And because it's not a visual piece, it's just a tactile moment.
Yeah,
It becomes like only me and you were feeling this, nobody else, right? It's a very, very beautiful thing. And even though it's just a tactile thing, it's not, I don't know, have you seen the Tic Tacs or the Peanuts I'm performing, for example?
yeah, Candyman.
It's a great moment, but it doesn't come from my heart, right? It's just a weird object I'm making in your hand there. But he found the source of the connection between people, which is like really on point. It's I think there's nothing stronger than connecting through a same heartbeat, or maybe just
What was your feeling when he did it to you for the first time?
yeah. It's a shame again because I saw also how he performed it on FISM on the YouTube channel, right? And I was like, what's going on there? Oh, that's cool, and I want to feel that. So
Oh, you discovered it with the Chris Ramsey's video.
yeah, I saw it afterwards, So I saw it, I heard about it, that he's doing something amazing. I checked it out, and it's like, oh, okay. And then when I saw him, he was like, I will show you.
You had some
And so
expectations.
yeah, it's just a different thing if you feel something like have no idea what's coming, but it's definitely a beautiful moment. I think if I would feel this and I have no idea what's happening now, go like, then I also would create a different sense for it. Sometimes when you feel something, you hear a music piece or something, and you connect some pictures and the elegance to it, and then you're like, oh wow, right? You really
Yeah.
you really feel everything that surrounds it.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Juan is just a very amazing thinker and good friend. So
As we said before, he's the next guest
yeah,
on
good
this
choice.
channel. So next week, Juan Colas. Or next week, I don't know. The next interview, at least, Juan Colas. Just to go back at your work, we've said before that there's a lot of stuff that involve light and shadows in your works. I think of optics, I think of silhouettes, I think of your sexy plexi stuff, I
Yeah.
think of your installations, which are also in and even your drawing, because you draw some stuff, are only in black and white. There are some forms, some stuff like that. What does interest you in light and shadows?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. If you look at this reality or the moment you're born, we only see light and shadows. There's nothing else, right? This is our reality. If you're able to see, then you receive light. and the opposite of dark spaces, and you can see the grayscale, and then you can, out of that, you can suddenly say, this is what it is, you know, you can remember all the things you have memorized since you were born with light and shadows. So first, this is really interesting. And if I make lights on, doesn't matter where, you immediately see them, right? It's like, it just catches your eyes immediately. And it's really interesting because there are some little things your eye always sees immediately. It's like, if you look at an art painting, for example, the first things you see are eyes and hands, right? It's like the first thing. Or if something is, it's like crawling around, you immediately see if there's danger or whatever. You know, if you like a little movement, you see immediately there is something that's attracting your senses. And light is immediately showing you something, you know, you don't know where this comes from. So of course, this is just a beautiful medium because you can work with like my projectors. I also use my projectors. I have like 16mm projectors. These are very old analog projectors where I have my own film run through these machines, and then I also draw my own animation trick movies. So this is just a great way to make it really visual, and you can see it also much better if it's illuminated somehow. But I don't know, I'm always interested in all these little gadgets there are now with LEDs. This is like a new time we live in where we have small batteries and small LED lights, and we can play with so many new ideas now. It's, yeah, I don't know why. I was really attracted by that.
When Silhouettes came out, it was huge, and I know a lot of magicians who bought it. Actually, I bought it myself. You know, this is something. This is really hard to do. Technically, this is not easy at all. This is like a finger gymnastic of
Maybe I have to show you a new handling I figured out, and I have to put this on the side. It's I don't need the flap anymore, right? And
okay. But if you want to get it, go. It's okay.
Yeah.
We have time.
I mean, I see my phone is just here. I was looking, where's my phone? And it's like,
yeah. So this is not possible. Yeah.
Yeah, but if this is the phone, I take the phone and I have the LED light is here, right? And I hold it in a weird grip now, but I take the phone with my index finger.
Yeah.
Right. And now I have all my fingers free to make my stuff, right?
You can do the stuff, yeah.
It looks like, and this helps you so much to perform this now. It's way easier. And I don't know, for me it was never that difficult, but of course I created it, so
yeah,
I don't know
and you've worked on it for, I think, so many times. So
yeah.
And your creation are fitting yourself. You know, when I see Liquify, actually this is obvious because you are doing it for so long, and it just gets released like a few days ago, in few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So when I see you do Liquify, I believe it. When I see others do Liquify for no,
Yeah.
there's something I was
Yeah, of course, they're way too quick.
This is not Tobias.
Yeah, of course. It really takes a feeling of you know, if you just take it out of the box and you just want to have it for your Insta videos, give it at least a week to play with it and not on the same day. But it's also fine if you just love to play, you know, have fun with this. Then it's great. You know, I don't mind. But you have to own it. You know, I feel like your magic, it should be always. People see it also if you know, if you fall apart. Like you see immediately if there's a bad actor. You know, if this is bad acting, or I don't know. You always, you know, you have to stand it. If you're also doing art and this is not really your stuff and you just try to paint now colorful, it doesn't suit you. You know, I feel like for me, I always choose to have black and white and try to be as clear as possible with the things and not try to color it up. And things are not necessary sometimes to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we could speak about the process of creation of Liquify? Because there is some melting stuff that we can see, you know, all of that stuff too.
Oh yeah, it's coming soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. You are working on melting, and even this is another sense, you know, when you do with the bottles, when you turn it, this
Yeah.
is like melting in his own way, you know. This is getting soft. How did that came into your mind?
It's a good question. I feel like I loved always these visuals where reality is not what it looked like. You know, it can be transformed, and I think the subject of transformation is always the subject of my art. You know, there's always things that are transforming and animating. I love animations, everything that can transform suddenly to something else. You know, I always love that because I don't know why. I think because the whole planet is all the time in a change. Everything is it's not the same every day. Everything is just all the time transforming into something else. So I feel like it's a great thing to talk about, but it's from the art perspective. But if you look at materials, you know, everyday objects that suddenly behave different than in their normal life, it's always great. It's melting for me started with this, you know, actually as also a mistake. When I was working with lights, I had some foil, that orange foil.
Yeah, the thing that you put in front of the light to put some colors, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I had a little piece, right? And I put on the light of my phone, and I was really bright in my face. And then I put the orange foil over the light, and I had an orange face, right? So I had like two characters I was playing, like, oh, the devil, you know.
Okay,
It was
okay.
just stupid. But then I put the foil on the table, and after a second, I was like, oh, why it's wet here, right? Because the foil was so shiny. I fooled myself, and I thought,
Oh, okay.
why is this liquid here on the table? And then I was like, ah, my gimmick. Anyway, and then I played with the foil, and I was like, wow, this looks really like it's like running around here, right? And then it was still like a foil. So I worked on the, you know, to get that shiny but really liquid looking thing. And then from there it started. I made it from so many versions until I have now a really beautiful gimmick that I use on every gig. I have it just in my pocket, and it works. It fits to everything, and it comes soon with Illusionists. I'm putting out the liquid spectrum, which is going to be really, really great.
Yeah. Did it start with the, you know, with the Sharpie things and all of that stuff, or did it start with Liquify?
It started actually with the liquids on the table.
Yeah.
With this foil idea, and then
Yeah.
when I made these liquids on the table, I was, you know, I was thinking, oh, it would be so cool if I can dip my finger in and I can see a little bit. And then I did this, and then I also made some mistakes where, I dipped in and I had like this beautiful whatever it is, you know. It's like now it's chewing gum. It's my chewing gum I'm working with, but it was interesting because I made this from like silicone, and I have so many different materials.
Yeah.
I let it dry overnight, and it continued dripping overnight. And then I came back in my studio, and I was like, oh no, it's not the shape I want, but now it's a long drip. And then, yeah, it actually, this was so much better than the first idea I had, because if you really start working on things, you cannot get stuck on the first idea you had. You have to keep going. You have to see what happens there, how the material is talking to you, and how it feels in your hand, if it feels right, or if it needs a bit more grip, or if it needs more flexibility. You have to discover all this, and the material will speak to you immediately. If the material is so much more intelligent than you are. You have to really listen to the gimmicks you're creating. Yeah.
You are this kind of guy who go in a gigs with the pockets full of stuff of this and that, and just try and even your current creation that you have in your mind to try it on gigs, or are you just working on gigs with some stuff that you do, and you do a lot actually. This is great.
Yeah.
You have your own repertoire. I don't know if you can say
I
that to
worked
me.
on the weekend on a gig, and it was funny because it was a really loud music and some tables, and I tried to speak and they couldn't really hear me. And then I was desperately looking for some ketchup on the table or something, but there wasn't nothing. I was like, oh, I want to perform my crazy stuff, but they don't have it. So sometimes you really have to wait for the right moments to use this kind of stuff I'm creating. Maybe that would have been better if I would just performed like a, I don't know, a simple card trick, or I don't know, something that people are just, but if you have the right opportunity and they, they're all cheers, and you also take your schnapps and you make a crazy thing out of their reality they're in now. This is the most important thing. I want to step into their reality, and I don't want to bring my own reality. I wouldn't come to the table and it's like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, I have a mirror, I'm looking every day. This is like why he brings a mirror, right? Did he steal this from the bathroom? Or I mean, that would be funny though. But it's great if you could just, can I use a little bit of the rest of your coffee, right? And suddenly you become like magic, because you use their stuff and you don't bring props, and it's such a different feeling of also jamming, creating a moment that was never in this kind of constellation. It's, I don't know, it's difficult to explain, but this is what a virtuose magic feels like if you're just jamming with the people.
And how is the German crowd? Because you've seen the American one, you've seen the Spanish one, and we know it. All crowds are different, depends on the country, of the social culture, some stuff like that, How is the German one?
Yeah, I always
bring some weird stuff to German stuff.
I feel like it's better now. I feel like the Germans, they learned from the Americans also how to react on magic now, because it's so much so much popular now to see a magic trick that they go like, oh, I love card tricks, right? And suddenly like, oh, I only know this from like American audiences or something. Of course, there are always people who learn.
Yeah.
And but I cannot help them. Nobody can help them anyways. But if you're not open to see this beautiful world, then you're anyway old. Like, sorry to say this, but if you still feel enthusiasm, then you're always young. It doesn't matter if you're always up for new things, or you shouldn't be afraid of a paid performer coming to a table want to show you things. It's like, it's maybe the fault of a lot of bad magicians that went to this table before, or to these people, and showed them shit, and they were like, oh, sorry, I cannot, I don't like this stuff. Like, if they would have seen a great performer before, they would be like, yeah, show me something. Last time was really good. Like, it's always, this is why when you perform something, you should always be aware that they will remember this really deeply as an experience. So next time a magician comes, they should say, oh yes, this is the best thing. Magic? Okay, cool. You should always give your best, and not just and think like, okay, I already got paid, I have to go now. Just show them the paddle move and bye.
to have this opinion, to have this conscience of this thing, I think we need to have some art sensibility, and this is something that is kind of poor in the magic community. I think this is my opinion, because for me, a lot of magicians doesn't have an art background. They do not go to, I don't know, museum. They don't go to concert. They don't read. They don't do all of that stuff to cultivate their mind.
I think they do. I think you watch things. You watch movies. You make a walk through the forest. You don't have to necessarily check out the art world. You have to really just get different pools where you can take your ideas from. If you next time you just of course, in the library, it's a beautiful way to inspire yourself. Watch a book of whatever, nature, and then you can take ideas from everything that fascinates you. It has to really fascinate you in your mind. Suddenly I watch now, when I cannot sleep, I have this, I don't know why, I always get this universe scientists talking about the constellations of, and it's like, it's interesting, right? Because this is really fascinating to take little story of these stars into one of these magic tricks, and you can talk about a beautiful picture of the universe, and then you have your delight, and something happens. So people are like just feeling the idea of magic. But for me, I love to talk about art because it's really kind of an intellectual. It's everybody knows surrealists like Man Ray or Salvador Dali. So if I open this picture, and of course the audience will be like, yeah, of course I know Salvador Dali and Man Ray, of course, yes. But even they don't know them, they will act like, yeah, it's art, right? Yeah. And suddenly they step on this intellectual, but and then it's great if I just melt something, they get immediately the connection of the melting watches from Dali, or how the world is not what it is. And I don't know, I like because it really suits I studied fine arts. I love to be that in that moment, so I feel really comfortable. But if I'm not really doing football and these things, and I want to talk with people about football, and I really actually not have any interest, people were like, you don't know who is this goalkeeper? And I was like, no. So, it's weird. It's like you cannot pretend,
Yeah, of course. And how does your artwork, your creation, your plastic stuff, how does this influence magic, and how does your magic influence your artwork?
Yeah, this is exactly what is my secret to keep my brain a bit fresh. It's sometimes now I'm preparing for a show in China, so I only do magic 1 hour show. Okay, blah, blah. And then in the beginning of December, I have here my solo show in the art gallery in Berlin. So you're all invited if you come to Berlin over the Christmas time. And then there's only focus art. So I need to always sometimes focus on what I'm doing there. But then I realized that for the artwork, I was ordering some LEDs, and they're special because you can, bend the LED strip. And it's like, oh, that's cool. So I can also use it for this one gimmick I have with the mirror for magic, and then I just see materials and pictures that are always inspiring each other. So I need to step always away from magic and art, do the other thing, and then come back and be fresh. Yeah.
And I've heard just before this interview your interview with illusionist during the COVID in Visio.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. And there is in your language, you said, I do art and I do magic.
Yeah.
And there is a separation between art and magic in your language. I don't doubt that you think magic is an art form in its own way, but why is there this separation in your language, and why do you do the distinction between those two?
Yeah, it's a good question, because this is something I'm trying to put these bridges together since so many years, and I had to put it separate for a little bit, because art can really do on its own so much more than just this magic trick, right? Magic is something that we learn. It's you learn this handcraft stuff, right? Like how to make a chair, it's a different than you're a wood maker or something.
Yeah.
So it's really, of course, it can become art at one point, but it is first something you have to really learn as a craftsman, right?
Yeah.
But to put the philosophical or the context, the ideas together, then if I perform this magic trick, then in the gallery, in the white room, it's suddenly a different context and everything becomes art, even if I just do a vicious card 200 times after another, right? So I have a concept there that maybe becomes a different idea. But I think it's for me more and more clustering together as one, that that I can just show the pictures I want to create, or the feeling, or the material you will feel. This is the moment where I could say art and magic is just the claim how reality is for you to experience. It's difficult to really put this so quickly together, because you have these ideas, but to really formulate yourself is takes a whole life, maybe.
Yeah, magic become arts in a certain context.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that when you do it in your studio, this is a craft. This is something like a scientist, Say, okay, we do that. Oh, all right. Okay, with the hand of
And the other way also, if you do art, and I don't know, and people are saying like, but this is just like he's just catching the effects, right? I don't feel the substance of it. He's just playing with these mirrors, and it's like it's just about this illusion, right? And it's not really going deeper. Then it can be also the same way. It's interesting where you really have to put that little twist to both of them to make it so clever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
everything has to be just super fine and super clever. And this is also when I was in Spain, everybody had these little things that were so, all these thoughts pressed into this one idea, and then shape everything off and polish it until it's really right as a beautiful thing to show someone.
Yeah. And there is a cool quote by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, who said, "The perfection is not when you have nothing to add anymore. This is when you have nothing to delete anymore."
Yeah, that's interesting.
This is where the perfection is. And I'm not going to say all of your stuff is perfect. It's not about that, but
no, nothing.
This is not about that. But your stuff is really simple to get, not in the method, not with silhouette, but for a layman, this is really okay. This is what is going on, and I get it really quick, because this is picture. You are creating pictures. Simplicity is important for you in your process of creation.
It's always getting more complicated than I want, but I make it look super simple. This is the secret. Art is always, if you go in the art gallery and there's this thing standing on a table and you're like, I could have done this,
Yeah.
And it's like, no, but try to do it and make it and put it in the gallery, try to live from that, right? And it really takes so much effort to make it on point. It doesn't matter what you do in your life, but at the end, nothing has to be perfect, which is great. At least you try to make you're going that way to always be more and more, you don't stop. I think if you stop at it and you say it's perfect now, I'm so proud of it, it's also risky, because of course you have to be satisfied with one of the things you're producing, but for me, I'm constantly trying to make it better and better. It's no trick is really finished, because when you perform it, you always find maybe a better little nuance to it. So yeah, anyway, I don't know the question anymore, but
this is what you've done with silhouette, with this new handle, with this new grip of the phone.
Yeah,
this is an upgrade of the first version that we all get. This is that. Tobias, this is the more philosophical question of all now. Why do you do magic? Why magic?
Yeah, this is not philosophical answer. I feel like it's, for me, to be honest, I just want to impress people. I love to, put myself in this position where I'm cool, because I did a cool magic trick, and everybody likes it, everybody opens up, and I don't know, I think everybody wants to be cool in a way. And if you tell a good joke that you throw into your crowd, and everybody's like, it's funny, but it opens everybody up immediately, and so I feel like magic is really from, I don't know, a point of my life where I figured out that it's giving me a lot in the way of meditation. So when you wake up in the morning and you take a deck of cards, right, and you're like, oh, right, it feels so good, and you can kind of meditate. So this is where I calm down and I can just let my hands think a little bit. My brain is just slowly, you know, meditating. This is one part. The second one is you can make good money with it. The third part is it makes people happy. I can speak to everyone in the world in every language in all ages. I think there are so many reasons to choose magic as the thing you need. I think it can open you any business doors. It can open you any love. It can it can really open you wherever you want to go with just a simple magic trick in your pocket.
And this is a great path, but this is not an easy path. Making his own way into magic, have a reputation, higher your prices to do some gigs, be a professional. This is some instability, financially, emotionally. There's some stuff. This is an humility way, the magic. This is something with all the art form that you can do. This is something that there is no like some money that come into your account on the first of each month.
No, but I
this is
mean,
uncertain, but this is a beautiful path, beautiful one.
yeah, I think also if you want to make magic, if you want to live, or you make, I think you can always make the money to live with magic. If you want to become rich, then you really have to also go different ways, and you have to go these little steps up. You don't go like, you cannot just say, no, I only do 4,000 or 5,000. Sorry. So like, no, we will book you. But if you do a lot of gigs and you have a lot of experience, you worth.
Yeah.
Now you worth the price you're saying, right? And people will, when they hear it, you say your price, and it's like, yeah, I believe it. Okay, right? They will believe it that you're worth this price. It's of course, if you have an agency, everything is way easier. But I feel like if you want to make your money living from it, it's a profession that will not die because of AI or whatever. But there will always be magicians performing somewhere, and people will always, of course, if there are crises, of course, they're not so many. The money for the magician on the party is maybe less, but we will find ways.
Yeah, no, the only way to stop us is called pandemic.
Yeah, but there's online,
Yeah, but online, yeah, I get it.
Different.
So we are almost at the end of this interview. This is almost 1 hour.
I thought this was the first question. No.
Yeah. This was the intro. So no. I have some other questions shorter than the others, which suggest some shorter answer. Sorry. Those are coming to my mind. So can you give me your 3 favorite films?
These are questions. These are all these art movies now. I have to really see which one was the most inspiring stuff. Damn it, I cannot even.
Well, I don't know. Maybe some directors that you like.
Yeah, I mean Jodorowsky. You know this guy. This is like, all his films are so strange that I would highly recommend watching all of them. The Holy Mountain, for example, it's like a really surrealistic one. And if you look at Robert Bresson, La Mouchette, you know this one, or he also made The Pickpocket, which is great. These are really beautiful art movies where you feel the senses of it. So sometimes he makes, when you hear the leaves in the trees, he makes them extra more loud, that you really hear the nature of the environment, and you have to really also watch it in good conditions and not just on your phone or something. But looking at subtleties, if you look at all the tricks Hitchcock was using, and I cannot really say which is my favorite movie there, because all of them, they have so many different qualities to.
Yeah.
Hitchcock, Jodorowsky, and what did I say else? Robert Bresson.
And we talked about surrealism just before. Maybe those Salvatore Dali and Man Ray are your preferred artists, your
To be
favorite
honest,
artist?
for me, I just went to the house of Dali when I was in Caracas, and I only celebrate him because he's kind of the inventor of surrealism. You know, his paintings are like not my favorite. He's a bad painter, but the ideas are great. But if you look at Man Ray and his analog film stuff, and also his photography, this is really something that touches me, that where I always look at when I try to make my own art, because it's I don't know. There are some pictures in art that are just so timeless and so pure. Like, I don't know, I always have to. But Dali, of course, everybody knows him. It's great to use his name to get people like, yeah, I heard about this guy.
Yeah. They have the reference. They
Mm.
know who he is. Yeah. Let's imagine that someone like a young guy or a young girl come to you to say, okay, I love your magic so much. I want to do something like you. I want to, I want to learn that. What advice could you give him to take this path?
Yeah, I don't know. I had also the same like some days ago, and I was like, I really want to, you know. And then I just wrote back, tomorrow I made you, there's a gig at this stage, do 10 minutes. And I was like, just do it. Like,
Yeah.
just start it and see and fall over all the problems. This is the only way to go somewhere, So.
And for the final one, I think, because I like this series of interview, I like to do it in English. This is not an easy exercise for me, but I hope I did well.
Yeah.
Can you put me in touch with someone to make this series, to continue this series?
Yeah. I mean, I could, you want the French or you want whatever?
No, I don't want a French guy. I've done 32 interviews with French guys, and Gaëtan Bloom was the last one.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I can definitely tell you. Should I tell the names already now, who I have in my mind? I mean, I think after Roncolas, now we're just you're already interested into a certain field of magic. So there's so many other people. I mean, Tony Chang is always great to talk to. There's, if you talk about theory,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can ask around and let people will tell you who is interested.
Yeah. Listen, Tony Chang is great, and I would love to have him on this format. So if you can send him a little message, and if he wants, it's great. If he don't want, it's okay too. It's okay.
Okay, no worries.
Tobias, if you want to say like last words for this interview, this is the moment. And after that, I'm going to conclude it myself.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for having me. This was great. And for all of you who wants to create magic, just go for it and see where are the problems, because the problems are always the only things where you can learn things from. It's everything is not easy. So just, see always the positive out of everything and not don't give up too early.
Guys, this was huge. I think so. This was huge. So, this channel is all about sharing, talking, not revealing, not leaking some tricks. We are not here to show some tricks. No, this is all about talk, progress in our own way into magic, get some reflections of what some of the biggest people are thinking about the stuff that we are doing, or the conception, all of that. This is philosophical a little bit. So if you want to get more of that, I can only say subscribe, and you can leave a like and you can comment. And when this video is going to be published, I'm going to tell to Tobias, and maybe Tobias can get into the comment sections and to answer to all of the questions that you could have, maybe that I didn't ask him, all of that stuff. So for us, I don't know if it's the next week or when I think about, but the next interview will be Juan Colas. I think so. If nobody goes between Tobias and Juan, it will be a pleasure to meet you there. And thank you so much for following this interview. Thank you, Tobias. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. Have a good
Good to
day.
see you, man.